Ladies and gentlemen, Juraj Slafkovsky is a first overall pick. The Montreal Canadiens have defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 1 of their 2026 Stanley Cup Playoffs first round series. The decision comes in overtime, and the decision comes off the stick of Juraj Slafzilla, baby. Juraj Slafkovsky with a hat trick to send the Canadiens to a 1-0 lead. And I'll just say this right here. Even if the Montreal Canadiens lose the remainder of their games in this playoff run, they already accomplished as much as they did last year. I mean, yeah, they lost 4-1 to Washington last season, barely squeaking into the postseason as a wildcard team. Guess what? They've gone out here as one of the top 3 teams in the Atlantic. They are kicking things off with the win, and it's house money from here on out, baby. Might I remind you, the Montreal Canadiens are just exiting a rebuild. As good as they are still a young team. So even if they lose the remainder of the games, we as Canadiens fans can still be very, very happy with what has transpired today. But of course, we're not going to think about games 2, 3, 4 with the idea that Montreal loses. Hell nah, they're up 1-0 against Tampa Bay. The game was tight. The game was very hard checking. Like, there were so many penalties called in this game, and a lot of them were strictly due to the fact that distance between Tampa Bay and Montreal players was cut down pretty significantly throughout the course of this game. Both teams were tight up in their faces. You had sticks flying all over the place. You had Jake Guentzel taking a disaster penalty in the last few seconds of regulation. And you have Montreal taking advantage. 4-3 overtime victory with Slafkovsky getting the hat trick. But we would be nowhere if we did not start out with the man who started it all. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1-0 goal of this hockey game was scored by Josh Anderson. When was the last time Josh Anderson scored the first goal for the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs? Well, I'll remind you. It was in Game 1 of the North Division Series between Montreal and Toronto in 2021. I swear, when I saw Josh Anderson score to make it 1-0 Montreal against Tampa, I was like, wait a minute, didn't he do the same thing against Toronto in 2021? A goal that inevitably started a Montreal miracle up until the Stanley Cup Finals against Tampa Bay? Yeah, that's right. Josh Anderson got things going in Game 1 5 years ago against Toronto before Paul Byron scored the game winner to make it 2-1. Montreal won that series. And it's that same Josh Anderson that gets things going with 6 minutes to go in the first period. Beautiful play by Alexandre Carrier to cause some disturbance down low. He makes the steal, the puck pops out, and it's Josh Anderson who picks it up and slips it right by Andrei Vasilevskiy. Vasilevsky's going right, the shot comes to his left. It's a great play, and it's 1-0 Montreal. Oh boy, Josh Anderson, what a playoff battler. The thing with Anderson is, we actually thought that he had scored a second one to make it 2-0. Partway through the second period, shot came from Matheson and then it was tipped down by Anderson. But upon video review, the stick and the puck made contact above the crossbar. It was no goal, and honestly, I think they made the right call. It was really high. I was kind of disappointed with that, but still. 1-0 game for Montreal, right? Not for long, because shortly after the Anderson goal, the second one, got disallowed, you have Darren Raddysh, who ended up scoring on the power play off of a Nikita Kucherov flat pass. Raddysh hammers it right by Jakub Dobes. He celebrates like crazy. It's a fiery goal. It's a tie game, 1-1. And after that, Tampa Bay, they show why they are a veteran, experience-laden team. that ends up getting the results, because just a few seconds after Darren Raddysh made it 1-1, you have Brandon Hagel taking advantage of a Lane Hutson and Caden Gooley miscommunication behind the goal line. Brandon Hagel makes it 2-1. Tampa Bay guys are cycling it around. Hutson gets into the thick of it with Guentzel down low. He tries to center it back out for Gooley, but it goes through Gooley's legs. Hagel picks it up, walks right in on the backhand, and then he fires it by Jakub Dobes. 2 goals in the span of 20-something seconds for Tampa Bay, and that obviously is a dagger against the Montreal Canadiens. You thought you were going up 2-0, but all of a sudden you're down 2-1. The penalties are not helping either. Double minor for Caden Gooley in the first, Brandon Hagel interference which caused the double minor by proxy, whole bunch of penalties for high sticking and roughing in the second period, charging for Josh Anderson too. But ultimately it's Connor Geekie who high sticks Lane Hutson in the last minute of the second period, which leads to Caulfield, to Demidov, to Juraj Slafkovsky. Juraj Slafzilla, baby, ends up getting a power play goal with 24 seconds left in the second period to tie the game up 2-2. Beautiful puck movement, beautiful passing. Elliot Friedman said it best, the Canadiens look like the Harlem Globetrotters on the power play. As Slafkovsky gets the puck on the Kucherov spot, he one-times it straight in off the back bar and out. And that continues into the third period, as Anthony Chiarelli gets 2 minutes for interfering on Juraj Slafkovsky, which gives the Canadiens another power play opportunity. Hutson goes over to Demidov, down to Slafkovsky, back to Demidov. Hutson again, Suzuki, Caulfield in front, Slafkovsky with the trigger, and he fires it in. Slaf in the bumper spot. Montreal moving it around like candy cycling in a conveyor belt, getting squirted with oil. Suzuki to Caulfield to Slafkovsky, and it is a Montreal lead for about 3 minutes, because just a few minutes after that, Zachary Bolduc went to the box for slashing. It's not a great penalty, but the Lightning respond on their own man advantage. Nikita Kucherov going shimmy-shammying out to the side. Guentzel in front, and it is Brandon Hagel who gets it to go. That's his second of the game. It's a 3-3 hockey contest heading into overtime. Both Slafkovsky and Hagel off of a pair of power play goals. They are double goal scorers so far in this game. Is one of them going to get the hat trick? Is one of them going to be the overtime hero? Well, obviously, Montreal had the advantage because Jake Guentzel, what are you doing? 2 minutes for high sticking for Guentzel at the end of the third period, which puts Montreal on the power play. They don't convert on the short 21-second span that they had to end off the third. But after a failed attempt to open up overtime on the man advantage, Martin St. Louis takes a timeout. He gives his guys some time to rest. They have 44 seconds to make it work, which is when Nick Suzuki brings the puck into the Lightning zone. He drops it back for Hutson, who then throws it up to Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky, he has a weird angle. He's a left-handed shot far on the left side. He's got some space. He's got a lane to pass. Instead of making the move to Demidov, Slafkovsky shoots himself, and he fires it by Vasilevskiy. I don't think anybody was actually expecting it to come off of his stick at that moment. I think people were expecting a pass, either down low to Cole or across to Demidov. But no, Slafkovsky says, I'm going to do it myself. I want my hat trick. I want to be the overtime hero. And that is what he did. The first Canadiens hat trick since René Bourque 12 years ago. And the first legendary first overall pick hat trick that we have seen in a long time for Montreal. Slafkovsky with the first overtime hat trick for Montreal since Desjardins back in the 90s. What a game, what a performance. I think there's so much to appreciate from what Montreal was able to accomplish in this game, but none more than Juraj freaking Slafkovsky, who put the Canadiens on his back and showed to the entire hockey world that, hey, maybe this guy was worth the first overall pick. Thoughts in the comment section below about Montreal versus Tampa Bay Game 1. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj Slafkovsky 9, and bye.